999-3581 and press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. Welcome, Michael. And Michael is outside digging in the garden, but let's see, do you have your unmute on? Hello, Michael. Well, until he gets dialed in there, he's on the switchboard. He just doesn't have his mic on, I guess, to talk to us yet. So I'll just say that's a lot of good information. Enjoyed listening to that, and I will have notes to that in the notes for today so that you can go back and pick that up. I enjoyed that, and thank you, Ann, for the example of your stomach gurgling, and that there's no thought behind that. It's just an experience. I thought that was a really good example. So I'm going to turn your mic back on, Ann, so you can talk to me. Michael just texted and asked if I'd talk for just a few minutes. So I thought that was a very good example. Yeah.
Well, well, I mean, couldn't help it, right? I'm listening
right.
to
It
him
just happens. It's just an experience.
Right.
But it was the perfect example of just being in the experience and not having a thought about it. And then once you did get a thought about it, then you could switch back to just being in the experience. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah. Simple example,
well, then
but it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, then if I relate it to interaction with daughter, say, then it would be the same thing. Just as you said, just as I hear you say it back, right? Then it's easier to pick up on as well. Is that, okay, well then I'm aware that a word was said, but if I stay in the now, okay, it was just a word. As he said, the tree is just three, letters put together. Then after practicing enough, awareness, the now, then I wouldn't have to react to what the word that she said was. I would just be aware of it and not have to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Anyway. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which leaves a lot better. I mean, then you don't have the stress of the reaction, as you know. And I think it reminds me of the wake-up sheet, because I think when we're doing the wake-up sheet, then it's kind of the body's starting to calm down, because we find out, oh, well, here's the story, and then, we're writing that down, and then here's the goal, and now we're canceling all that. And right there, just by canceling that, even though it doesn't make sense a lot of the time, we're canceling it. That's a lot of stress right there that we've just
and bringing you back to the now.
Right, bringing us back to the now, and then ending in the presence of love. So, who we are. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, that was just beneficial. Yeah. But I noticed for me, because of all my daughter's furniture and stuff, because they still don't have a house to move into yet, is here, and if I open up my eyes, then I'm immediately focused on all the stuff. But if I keep my eyes closed and just listen, then I'm more in the now, and there is no judgment. There's just a voice that I'm hearing.
That was that's a good way of practicing that, because when we do the breath work, we tell people to close their eyes, because that is such distraction. Just, everything that you see and all of the things that are resonated and the light energy coming in. And so that's one of the reasons we tell people to close their eyes when we're doing the breath work, is to shut that out and to be with the experience. Yeah.
And I'm becoming more aware of that whole light thing. I think I heard Michael talk about, that it's, we're not seeing out. It's what we're generating from inside, and so, but the light reflecting and everything, because I know I've had to use, I have some tinted lenses, and so although I don't have to use glasses to focus, I need those tinted lenses more, just even doing text messages on my phone, or if I'm on the computer, because of the light reflection. So it's not that but still working on that. But.
The eyes are just an antenna, and, the light frequency comes into the eye, and then if we've got our eyes open and that light frequency comes in, then we start putting meaning to everything that comes in, and that's always from the past. So closing the eyes and just being with the listening, and, that also is just your ears are also a receptor that just receives the information, and that in itself, you can turn into, instead of just listening, you can start, putting meaning to it. And so, it definitely would take practice to be able to just be in the moment and shut out all judgment and all, trying to give a meaning to everything that we hear and see. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad I turned it on today. That's great.
Yeah, excellent.
Anyway.
Well, do you have anything else? Yeah.
No, I had a note, but I think it was something that Dr. Tim said yesterday, when I'm walking around looking for my note, so I don't have it right now, if I come across it all, because it was something that he said, and I said, well, there's two words, and I wanted to ask him about it, but then he was talking about that other thing today, so that was just as beneficial.
I'll tell you what.
I think I hear Michael.
And while you're looking for that note, I've got a couple of thoughts I'd like to throw into the conversation.
Certainly.
At one point, when the idea of canceling the goal was expressed, your words were, that doesn't make any sense. And what I'd like to do is recognize that it makes total 100% sense when you know what's going on. But we're not going to tend to do things that don't make sense to us. So I'd like to make sense of it. I'd like to just add some thoughts in here. And certainly closing your eyes, there's a gentleman that I used to work with who was he's passed now, but he was an ophthalmologist, and he did some awesome work by stimulating through the eye the brain with different frequencies of light. And according to his numbers, and I don't know where he got them, I've never followed up to try and verify them, but he said that the number of connections in a single human brain is greater than the number of known molecules in the universe. In other words, if you took all the stars and all the planets and all the grains of sand on the beach and that there are more connections possible in one human brain than in the known molecules in the universe. And his offering to people was that 80% of that is visual. So when you keep your eyes open, bringing light in, you're resonating a huge amount of content. And if you go back, you might want to listen if you weren't on the show yesterday, you might want to give a listen to yesterday's show where I talked about anything that we're aware of and have a goal about is going to cause whatever energetic patterns are within our structure from all of our generations. So, if a big trauma happened over a house being packed up with luggage, and cancel the thought there was a fire and, somebody died in the fire 20 generations ago, and you're looking at luggage, you're aware of luggage, and you have a goal, boy, I wish this would be cleared, then that would resonate all the way back into the genes and bring that into play in this perceptual construct, which is why people end up in crazy pain, trauma, because it plays out all of that data. The reason it makes sense to cancel the goal is because when you become aware of a goal that's driving perception based in pain, you remove the resonating frequency that brings that pain into awareness. At the same time, you collapse the surface mind's perception based in that pain, the crazy whatever's going on, and when that happens, that perception collapses in on its own footprint. You've heard me use the example, and I think we need to visualize it. To me, it's so important to realize that collapsing perception is the key to healing. So I use an example. I actually did a presentation for another group a few days ago, and somebody objected to me using this because it was related to pain. But it gives people the opportunity to recognize I'm on the garden, and I got something started that I realized I actually shouldn't have started until after the show, and I had to keep going on it. So here I am with my hands in the dirt, and here we are having a conversation about forgiveness. And, it's...
I know, right? But that's great. I love it. Anyway, okay. Thank you, though, for the good catch and everything and what you do.
Appreciate
and
you.
I love how you and Dr. Tim will get into, transparency moments of sharing, your processing. And I think for me, I can only speak for me, that is so helpful to be reminded of, hey, it works, yes, put the pen to the paper, and you will have the next level of benefit to the work. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a major opening in my own process a couple nights ago. Jeanie was breathing me, and it was just a major amount of download that came through. I haven't organized it in a way that I can present it yet, but it's like just new information. I did some of it in yesterday's show, but
okay.
New level of insight into this whole game of perception, and so sometime when I get through the editing of it, I'll probably share it on the show.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I'll listen to yesterday's, but I'm able to. Okay, perfect. All right.
Cool.
Thanks so much.
Awesome, young lady. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Okay, thanks. Blessings.
Michael, this probably isn't the same person that you were referring to, but I was doing a search so I could put it in the notes. And there's a Thomas Pulitzer who is former NORA president and neurooptometric rehabilitation. And It's an article by him that says vision is their dominant sense. And it says more than just sight is measured in terms of visual acuity. Vision is the process of deriving meaning from what is seen. It is a complex, learned, and developed set of functions that involve a multitude of skills. Research estimates that 80 to 85% of our perception, learning, and cognition and activities are mediated through vision. So I'm going to put a link to that in the notes, too.
Yeah, and then you go back and you listen to the ancient scriptures where they understood this whole process far more than we realize today. And they said, for the lack of vision, my people perish. It's why people die. We're not designed to die. And we die because we don't have vision. And we get caught up in sight. And sight is not vision. We talk about vision centers. There are no vision centers in America. Well, maybe there are, but the places where you go get glasses are not vision centers. It hasn't got to do with vision. That's got to do with sight. It's a totally different thing. And I think really important to understand. So awesome.
Very cool. So we have 40 minutes. 563-999-3581 and press 1. You sound like Darth Vader, babe.
Well, I'm breathing. I'm raking out this thing I just killed. So I'll go back on mute and let you talk.
Okay. Well, we have two hands up. So area code 573. You're on the air. Who do we have?
It must be me, Mark Archer.
Hi, how are you doing?
All right, how are you? I was
good.
part of the connecting consciousness call that you did on Sunday?
Right.
You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Well, I was meditating or thinking about the process, the denying thing. Remember
Right.
that part of the conversation?
Right.
And I think with the exact opposite of that is confession. Because, we have a problem, with someone, and we deny that it's in us. Well, if we acknowledge that it's within us, that's confession.
Well, it is definitely being
I'm with you on
aware.
that.
Yep.
If you go back even to the 12-step programs, they said you need to tell the truth to at least one other person. When you can speak it, you can start to understand at a whole other level, and that was an important part of the tradition of healing. Unfortunately, a lot of it became about churchianity rather than the tradition of healing. And but yeah, I agree with you. That's an important principle. Getting it out there.
It's like acknowledging you have the problem. Then you can see it, and then you can pull it out.
Exactly. I'm with you. 100%.
Your thing. You can't pull something out you can't see.
Yes.
And acknowledging that it's right. Acknowledging that it's there is admitting to it that it's there. So is there an Aramaic similarity to that? Just like the Aramaic similarity of what forgiveness is pulling it out. Is there an Aramaic word for confession that signifies that?
I'm not familiar with an Aramaic word specifically that would translate as confession, but certainly a close.
Oops. Michael's going to have to dial back in. He just disconnected himself. So he's. I guess you were on when he was saying he was working in the garden, and so he's got his phone in his pocket. He's breathing kind of hard there. I told him he sounded like Darth Vader. So,
excuse me, I got disconnected there, sweetie. I'm back.
Yeah, go for it. Mark's still with us.
Most non-humans, those who are not functioning out of active present love, live in blockage of truth. And blockage of truth means that I'm not willing to acknowledge or speak my part in or my responsibility for what's happening here. And that a really important key, and would tie in with this idea that you're bringing forward so perfectly, the idea is that you have to honor truth, really, truly stepping into the place where you honor truth so deeply that you're willing to own it, you're willing to look at it, you're willing to deal with it, and, of course, you're willing to move through. And when the truth is painful, when the underlying dynamics brought up by truth are painful, to be willing to bring it out into the open, which would be, as you're saying, confession, and bring healing to it. So I'm with you.
Oh, good. You mentioned that you are translating, Aramaic.
I am not. I'm working with a text called the Kouboris manuscript. You can look at the whole text on our website. There are pictures of it. It's absolutely beautiful. But I, as a director of the foundation, I am not allowed to read, write, or speak the language. I have done no translation work. My part in the process, when they were translating, they had 25 of the world's top Aramicists, and my partner, who was an attorney at that point, directed the project. And he could not read, write, or speak the language, but he would send passages out and to 25 translators, and when they would send back their translations, if they didn't match, he'd send them out again, he'd send them out again, he'd send them out again, he'd check with experts until they got to the point where there was agreement. But when there was agreement between 25 translators, we still didn't know whether or not we had the truth. So my part in the process was to take that, which we'd learned in the translation, and take it into the classroom and see if it worked. The final verification that we were actually translating accurately was, did it work? And if it didn't work, then back to the drawing board. We need to send it back to the translators and see where the error is. And so honoring truth is a really major key in that whole teaching, that whole understanding.
The reason I was bringing that up is because I'm presently translating the Old Testament from Hebrew into English.
Right.
And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because there's so many different translations out there, of the Bible. Which one is giving us the true picture of what they're actually saying in the Old Testament?
My offering would be, it's going to be the one that takes the principles that are put forward and actually brings them into a place where they work. And I would suggest that if you want to get accurate, you've got to go to the Aramaic. Aramaic is a parent language to Hebrew. Hebrew is not the original.
I always thought that Hebrew was older than Aramaic.
No, Aramaic is the parent language to Hebrew. And the original scriptures were originally written down in Aramaic. And the Aramaic is such a language with so many idioms in it, and there's so many mistranslations, because unless you know the meaning of an idiom, you can't translate it. People try to translate the words, and it makes no sense. I use this as an example I introduce. Let's imagine that we have a man from, let's say, Russia that wants to come to one of our workshops, and I know that you are the best translator of English into Russian or Russian to English in the world, and I call you and I say, hey, I just heard from this fellow in Russia, and he wants to come to the workshop, and I know you've got an extra room and your Russian is impeccable. Would you mind housing him? Would you pick him up at the airport and bring him to the workshops? And you're like, oh, man, I'd love to do that. Sure. And at the end of the week, we've had dinner with this guy a couple of times. We have a really great time with him, and I don't speak any Russian, so I have difficulty communicating with him. And I say to you, as you're getting ready to take him back to the airport, would you tell him that I think he's just really cool? And you say, sure. And you turn to him in your best Russian, and you say, Michael thinks you've got a low body temperature. You translated my words perfectly, but you didn't say a word about what I meant because I used an idiom. Yeah. And the Aramaic language, he might be insulted, upset. Who do I think I am? His body, is there something wrong with him? His body, who knows what his mind might go off on. And you look at people who hear things from the scriptures, and where they're idioms, they're just lost. Like one of my favorites is in the Beatitudes. We're told, in the name of a man who said, I come to connect you to the spirit of truth, that in the first Beatitude, you're supposed to be poor in spirit. It's like, I've heard preachers stretch a long way to try to make sense of that one, but in the name of someone who said, I come to connect you with the spirit of truth, why would I want to be? I'd want to be rich in spirit, wouldn't I? In Aramaic, a fly speck on a piece of paper turned the word home into poor. So what the direction was there is you have to have your home in the eternal forces from God, in what was called ruka in Aramaic, which the Greeks mistranslated as the Holy Spirit, and there's nothing but a disembodied spirit being. It speaks of a feminine elemental force in us that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. We need to have our home in those eternal forces instead of in our perceptual minds. But one fly speck on a piece of paper changed the meaning of that whole idea, and people are trying to be poor in spirit. But if your home is in the eternal forces from God, then you live in a different world than the perception that comes from the mind of man from carbon-based memory. It's a totally different game. And, you could go through 1,000 different examples where that kind of mistranslation has occurred because they missed the Aramaic understanding of the words.
Well, when you're in the Old Testament, you talked about the feminine. That you almost like the word chokmah, which would be wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's the impression, because in the Old Testament, it's pictured as a woman, teaching.
Well, and in Aramaic, it is a feminine elemental force that, by definition, undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. Yeah, it's a woman who teaches. It's not a woman, but a feminine aspect that teaches us. It comes out of not the material world, but from the higher energetic world.
But that could be, from the Old Testament, that would be wisdom, because that's how we get wise.
Well, yeah, it would result. It itself would not be wisdom, but it would result in wisdom. Yes, that would be the impact or the effect of it. Would be that we live in wisdom. Yeah.
Right.
But the thing itself, if we're limited to thinking it's wisdom, then we're going to go, well, I need to go find a wise person. Let me go find wisdom. Let me go find, as opposed to I need to find and yield myself to and invite this feminine elemental force to come into activity in me. That's going to lead to a whole different pursuit and therefore a whole different result.
Yeah.
So if you're going to translate, I'd suggest you start looking at the Aramaic and, at least consider where it fits, how it fits, and what's there.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Okay.
And
all right, thank you.
It works.
Go ahead.
I say, and it works.
Oh, okay.
Well, I appreciate your input about the confession idea. Thank you, because that fits perfectly, and it's another aspect that really needs to be tapped into. I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah, I just thought it was related to. I thought it was related to what you were saying as you could say the opposite form.
Absolutely. Yep, I'm with you.
Okay,
it's good input. We love your input. Come back often and give us input, please.
Okay, as often as I have it.
All right, sir. Blessings. Appreciate you. Lots of love.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome. And we have another caller.
Okay.
And this is 417. I think it's Judy.
I opted out.
Well, hey there, Miss Judy.
Yes, I didn't. I thought I opted out, but well, thank you.
Well, did you ever hear the story? Did you ever hear the story, Judy, of the guy who worked across a graveyard from his home, and he, knew the guys who worked in the graveyard. He knew the path through, and he oftentimes worked night shift in dark nights with no moon. He just cut across the graveyard, and one day, unbeknownst to him, they dug a fresh grave. And he's going across the pathway he normally goes on, and he falls into the grave. And it's so deep that he just can't get out of it. He's trapped. He's like, well, I know the guys that work here. I'll just go to sleep, and in the morning they'll get me out. Well, about 4 a.m, a drunk comes stumbling through the graveyard and falls into the same hole. The guy kind of wakes up a little bit as this drunk is struggling to get out, and he says to the drunk, hey, Mac, now that you're in here, you can't get out. But the drunk did. It's called motivation. Motivation.
A lot of that.
Hey, let's
living
laugh.
In the present.
What the heck? Yes. Yes.
Isn't when you're motivated, you're in the present?
Well, you're probably at least in the presence.
At least into it. Oh boy. Well, I would imagine
so what was on your mind that you pushed the button?
Okay. I haven't been sleeping at all, and
ouch.
Yeah, it's been like I've been dealing with this issue with my neighbor for months, and I've been doing my work around it. And it is getting better, but like I'm over 6 months into this same neighbor, and she when I moved in, she told me that she used to observe. She was an observer in the mental institutions of the clients or patients, whatever you call them.
Right.
just an observer, and she's also a shaman. And I have been around shaman before, and so I know a little bit about their energy fields, and I've been dealing with her energy field coming into my energy field, and when I try to go to sleep, I'll get to that point where I'm starting to get into the REM sleep, and then she makes a noise. Sometimes it's something minor, and then other times it's not. And so now I'm not sleeping at all.
Ouch.
Yes.
So my highest thought would be, you can go on Amazon, and for probably $29, you can buy what's called a white noise machine. And a white noise machine you plug in the wall, and it makes just a background sound that the brain doesn't have any brain cells for, so it doesn't stimulate perception into activity, but it creates an interference pattern for outside noises. So you might try getting yourself a white noise machine, and then probably when she makes noises, it won't have anything to do with you. It won't bother you. You won't even hear it because the white noise is there, and your brain doesn't react with perception to white noise. So that might be a thing to do.
Wow.
$29. Michael, the wind is blowing into your microphone. Turn your head or something. The wind's blowing in your microphone.
Okay. How's that? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay,
now,
good.
there is, I do have internet, and there is on the YouTube station, there are, they have like deep sleep and rain sounds, that they can put out. But I'm not
same idea.
sure about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a whirl.
Things on YouTube that will play relaxing, quietening music for 8 hours at a time. So when you're ready to go to sleep, pop on YouTube and get some sleep.
Okay, I will definitely try that. I've been doing my worksheets around it, and it's the only thing that saved me so far,
Okay. Well, it sounds like you're ready for the next level, so here you go with the next level.
I am.
Very cool.
Thank you for you and Jeanie being here.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here, I'll tell you. Big time.
You just have a good time digging that garden, honey.
It's in the plan.
I know you and Jeanie will really enjoy it.
We are, hands in the worms and all.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, blessings. Bye-bye. So, Miss Jeanie, where's our time at?
We have 20 minutes.
Cool. Well, if you're out there in listener land and you're on one of those stations where we can't see you on our control panel, call-in number is 563-999-3581. Pick up the phone, give us a call. How can we support you? What's on your mind? What are you thinking about? What can we do to assist and support you with these tools? If you push 1, Jeanie will introduce you by your area code, and we'll be having a conversation, and we would love to have a conversation with you. That's our purpose for being here. It's our raison d'etre. In the meantime, I just cut out a square of 20 by 20 buckwheat that we planted about 2 weeks ago. It was up to about 8 inches tall. So I just plowed it into the ground on top of 4,000 pounds of compost that Jeanie and I went out and got in a trailer a couple of weeks ago. And so now we've cut all that down. I'm digging it back into the soil. And then I'm going to plant another round of buckwheat to get a second crop before winter strikes, and then just before we get to a bunch of hard freezes, we'll put in some what they call hairy vetch, which overwinters. The buckwheat dies in the freezing weather, So we'll put some hairy vetch in our garden. This new one, this is a totally new garden. We'll be ready to grow all kinds of awesome food for next year. And if you're not growing food, there's this magical thing. You put a little hole in the ground, you drop a seed in it, and the earth gives you wealth and nutrition and sustenance that you can hardly buy in the culture. And there's actually a really excellent film you can go to. You can do a search for it, and it costs $1 on Vimeo to watch. The best buck you'll ever spend if you have any interest in what's happening to the planet. And one of the things that is coming out more and more is that with the destruction of our soils, with the chemical use of things like pouring 10 gallons of glyphosate on an acre of land in order to plant and grow chemically, that we're down to the point where if we keep going the way we're going, in 60 years, all of the soil on the planet, that is, that's in harvest, in crops, will be dead. And when the soil dies, we die. That's just the way it is. So restoring the soil. So there's one called Kiss the Earth. Excellent video. Costs $1 on Amazon. Woody Harrelson, if you like Woody Harrelson, he narrates it. And it's really excellent information about what the average person can do in their own communities. It doesn't take a government to fix what's going on. It takes people taking action. Same as with forgiveness. And so stepping into the healing process of the earth, I think, is something really important that each of us can participate in and heal some soil. Get your community working on community gardens and healing soil. Feed your community. Feed the homeless out of community gardens. Yeah, you have to put some time, intelligence, money, and energy into it, but is what you're putting your time, intelligence, money, and energy into really satisfying you at this point? I just asked that question. I can remember when I had 3 businesses. I had 60 employees. I had a Mark III on one side of my driveway. I had an Eldorado on the other. I had a penthouse apartment in one city. I had homes in 2 other cities. And I had so much stuff. Oh, man, I had stuff. Was I happy? No. Was it what I was here for? No. And I woke up one morning, it's like, Michael, what the hell are you doing? And I walked away. And those who know me, you know that you've been on the road with me. For 40 years we traveled and did our workshops free, and we paid our own expenses. It's a little different than, the Eldorado and the penthouse and the Mark III. What are you doing with your life, with your world, with your money, with your power, with your energy? What are you doing? Is it really what you're here for? And if it's not, maybe something just as small as starting a little garden might inspire a neighbor, might open your neighborhood. Who knows? Who knows what happens? But we're here to support you in every way that we can, from the womb to the tomb. The way birth is given is important. And we need to get conscious about how we birth and bring people into the world. The tomb, how we send people out of the world. And, the person who's leaving the world needs people around them that are capable of holding to a space of active, present love, not people who are whining and crying because of all the issues they've never worked through with that person and will never get to work through. If you actually have a relationship based in love with a person and they pass away, what's going to move in you? Love, that's it. The rest of it's just unresolved toxic energy, and we need to be working through those toxic energies. And when we do, here's what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Being creators, if there's something toxic out there, and people do a lot of terror and trauma around the toxicity, and, if there's toxicity, we want to know about it, we want to do something about it. But if it's not something you can do anything about at the moment, aside from, maybe take some political action or what have you if you need to, then instruct your body to adapt and transmute it into love. Transmute it by the presence of love.
Oh, yeah.
And change the game. Yeah.
Okay.
You've always got that. You say, cell phones are toxic to the brain. Okay, well, I use a cell phone a lot. What do I do? Okay, body, learn to transmute this energy and move it from toxic to something useful to me. And now somebody says, that won't work. Well, maybe it won't work, but I'll tell you what. If you add terror and trauma to, this toxic energy, that will work, and it will make it 10 times worse. So that's my take.
Thank you, Michael. Just even laughing helps. Thank you.
Yeah. And maybe get yourself some good organic celery, something energetically that might assist. If it is something to do with celery, is get yourself some good organic celery and start doing celery juice and bring that into your field in a way that uses it constructively.
Oh, instead of resisting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because underlying that resistance thought is this is bad for me thought, and then I'm looking for symptoms.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
and guess what you're going to find? Seek and you will find. You will find it.
Yep.
So if you're going to do something, transmute it, heal it. Bring it into the healing mode.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that brings me more empowerment, I think, to a bigger thing, and you'll help me with this, I'm sure. I'm seeing outside of myself my boyfriend going through pre-diabetes.
No, wait a minute. Hold on just a second. So you can actually see something outside of you with your eyes? I didn't know that was possible. I thought that was.
I'm okay. All right. Okay, he's having a horrible experience, so he tells me, in his body.
So information's coming in that's telling you that he's got some pre-diabetic stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to help, of course, and share knowledge that I have, and he really isn't ready to listen, or, he kind of is. I think fearful.
I remember a gal at Heartland. This goes back probably 20 years ago, and she was pre-diabetic, and she was a monster. All of her friends knew if she gets acting like a bear, feed her because she's got blood sugar problems. Her pancreas isn't working properly. And, she would just, she was on the support team at Heartland, and everybody was just, oh, my God, look at this. Oh, this woman is just a terror when she doesn't eat. And she finally shared with the group that several years earlier she was married to a man that was the love of her life and that she had planned to be with forever. And he had been in an accident and had a transfusion, and there was AIDS in the transfusion, and he died.
Oh, yeah,
and
I heard of that.
She was in so much grief. And when she finally, in the intensive, she finally dealt with, she just went into a major grief experience around that. The next day, she wasn't screaming and raging for food. And from then on, for the rest of the time she was at Heartland, you could feed her or not feed her. It didn't matter. So my offering would be to perhaps see if you can inspire this man, because the thing that tends to shut down, the endocrine system shuts down organ by organ, and the thing that tends to shut down the pancreas is grief, unresolved grief. So you might invite him to look at and see if there's some unresolved grief. And, if he won't do worksheets or anything, maybe just talk to him about grief, see if he's got any grief stories to tell you, and then just see if he'll breathe. How about if you just breathe with me? And see something, he might be ready for it to move on in that way and get out the other side of what's probably loaded his pancreas down to the point where it's not working properly.
And is the pancreas one of the fundamental symptoms for diabetes?
Yeah, that's where that's where the congestion is when diabetes arrives. Yeah,
okay.
It's the pancreas.
Okay,
that regulates blood sugar basically.
He has really sore muscles, so both shoulders and really deep. He says I can't even massage and find it. So that sounds emotional too, doesn't it? Like a grief release.
It does,
maybe.
yes. Good chance.
Yeah, trying to control. He has a big anger burst often. He's overweight, so maybe it is blood sugar.
Well, the anger is the drug probably that he's using. in order to not deal with the grief. That's, if something gets too close to the grief, then the anger outburst is a way to not have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And there is a grief. He lost a son.
Ooh.
Suddenly.
Yeah, that would be big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Michael.
Well,
thank
we'll
you.
hold the space for him.
Yes, thank you.
And for you to be guided.
He's of Scottish descent. Thank you, Michael.
Uh-huh.
And I've been wanting to ask you about your Scottish descent. And he's not so much he doesn't really think about past lives, but his last name is Wallace, and it is in the lineage of Sir William Wallace and the Braveheart movie.
Yeah.
Which he hasn't seen.
You might sit him down and get him to watch Braveheart. I mean, I've watched that movie 24 times in order to clear out some of my rage to get to other layers of things. So you might introduce him to that. I thought maybe he could be carrying rage from all that, and yet does somebody have to believe in it, or just if something comes up in them, let it be a way to process out? Yeah. Okay. Belief is not a requirement.
Yeah.
Just use the tools and healing happens. Belief isn't required.
And would you like to share about your Scottish background? Because I'm just wondering if we were all sort of the same clan at one point somewhere in there.
Oh.
Do you know much about your background?
No, I don't know a whole lot about it. It's not something that's ever really interested me, and I've had other pursuits in my life than that one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So you're just releasing that. Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Or
Both of my parents
I know.
came from Scotland.
That's pretty good.
But that's about the extent of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you for everything, all the covered subjects that we went through. All right. Oh, wait. Did I miss something on Sunday? You had a session or something? A conversation?
It was a private session. It was private. It wasn't open. That's why we didn't publicize it. It was for a private group.
Okay, I hear you. All righty. Okay, got to stay posted. Okay, I'll be in touch another time, and thank you.
All right, take care. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. Blessings. Bye.
All right, we're down to about 3.5 minutes. Maybe just announce about Saturday, October the 9th.
Yeah, we've got a Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing workshop coming up Saturday, October the 9th, and we've actually, there's a flyer on our website if you go to whyagain.org, and with the new layout, sweetie, where would they go to find the flyer for?
If they just scroll down the page just a little bit, there is actually a whole section that's titled Upcoming Events and Intensives, and there's flyers for, I'm going to mute you, Michael, you're really loud here. Okay, so if you go to whyagain.org and then just scroll down on the homepage, there's a section that says Upcoming Events and Intensives, and there is, the first item is the self-study, the Codependence to Interdependence and Responsibility Communication. That's a 90-hour self-study. You'll get all the videos, and you get 2 personal code evaluations with that. And you get invitations to the food app and to the food group. And then underneath that, it's the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing monthly online membership. And there's a flyer there. You can click on that, and that begins on October the 9th. We'll be doing the breath work from 10 to 5. And then the following Wednesday from 7 to 9 in the evening, and those are Eastern time, then we'll be doing a follow-up support session for that. And we'll be doing that every month, the first Saturday of the month, and then the following Wednesday. And then there's also, any other flyers for anything that's open to people. Those will be listed right there under the events as well. And that takes us up to close to the end of the hour. Any closing thoughts, Michael?
Put the worm bin as I move it. And so, everybody, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. You have the power to give it, and the world needs it. Blessings. Bye-bye.